welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to start a trilogy reading vlog for the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. The first book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The second book is Good Girl, Bad Blood. And the third and final book is As Good as Dead. And all of these covers are awesome. I absolutely love them. I have this one in paperback, which is fine, but I have the other ones in hardback, and I like the cover of this one, but I love the cover of this one because it's like has that raised embossing kind of duct tape on it, and I just love it so much. But I do like these so much. I have actually read this once. It's been about a year. I read this in February 2021 and I rated it 4.5 stars, but I rounded up to 5 on Goodreads, and then I gave it 4.5 on the Storygraph because you can do that on the Storygraph. Anyway, absolutely loved this, but I thought if I was gonna like jump back in, that I really wanted to refresh myself on the details, and plus it's YA, so it does read like fairly quickly, and I just love the audiobook experience. Highly recommend for these books because inside you have phone calls and stuff like that. So oops, sorry, I closed it. So you have like phone call interviews and stuff like that, and in the audiobook they are produced, and I think it's a full cast of characters for the audiobook, so highly recommend that. But I also recommend having the physical book, even if you're just like borrowing it from the library or something like that, because it does have fun little like case files, and there is a map and stuff like that. So yeah, so I'm gonna be reading the trilogy. I will let you know my non-spoilery thoughts as I read the trilogy, and I hope you enjoy. Talk about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I started this one last night, my reread, and I am on page 43, so pretty cool. It's just as good. The audiobook and the reading experience together are just as amazing as I remember. If you don't know anything about the series, I highly recommend you looking up the full synopsis of each book. I'm only really going to tell you the synopsis of maybe this one, I don't know. It just depends on like how spoilery it gets for this book, because if you haven't read the series, I want this to be like completely spoiler free. But basically in this one, you're following a high school senior that is doing this capstone project, which is basically like a senior thesis. And it says the courses of study or areas of interest: English, journalism, investigative journalism, criminal law. And then the working title is the research into the 2014 missing persons investigation of Andy Bell in Fairview, Connecticut. And she's talking about like how she's going to present it and what, you know, sources she's going to use and stuff like that. And it's just, it's very, very interesting. So she's basically like this, I don't know, senior in high school that's doing investigation into this case from 2014, and that's basically what the entire book is about. But it's about her friends and people she meets along the way and the investigation and the story of an investigation turned obsession. So yeah. All right, you know I have something really exciting to share with you when I come to you with a t-shirt on my head. Anyway, so for those of you that may have not heard me talk about this previously, January has really sucked for a lot of reasons, and a couple of things. My mother-in-law fell, and dealing with that, and my uncle died, dealing with that, and I've had jury duty. But jury duty, it's like e-jury duty. I'm an e-juror. But so today I had to call in after 6:30. It's actually only like 5 p.m. Sometimes they post it early. Current status: your jury service for this term has ended. You are no longer required to report as previously instructed and need not check for any further details. We thank you for serving as a juror in the United States District Court. Yes! So jury duty is officially effing over, you guys. that is a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Oh my gosh. Oh, you just don't even know. Anyway, yeah, I need to take this off my hair, but I had to wash my hair. I'm doing some reading sprints over on my Patreon tonight, so I'm gonna do that. Oh, I'm just in the best mood right now. Oh my gosh. Yes, so things are looking up. Things are looking up because I was just like, I cannot have another month like January and February. You know what I'm saying? All right, friends, I'm here with great news. I just finished A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is the first book in the trilogy. It was a reread. The first time I read it, I rated it 4.5 stars, and that's when I was doing half stars. I'm not doing half stars this year. I'm trying to keep to whole stars, even though, like, I don't know why, but I'm gonna give it 4 stars. So I still really enjoyed it. I just can't give it 5 stars because the idea of this senior in high school solving this case and all of the things that she did, including breaking and entering, like knowing how to set up like a thing on someone's printer that if they print something to save it, even if they delete it, how to do different things like on the computer, like all of that. It just seems so, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit that Pip is just this like really smart, driven, like firecracker that knows all about these technology things. So like I said, you have to kind of get over the fact that you're gonna have a high school senior solving this big mystery. But I love the audiobook and the book experience. I love the characters. I like the pacing. I like that she's continuously trying to solve the case, and that she is actively following leads. And I love all of that. It's just a little hard to imagine a senior in high school doing that. But other than that, highly recommend. And now I finally get to read the 2 that I have not read yet. So of course the second book is Good Girl Bad Blood. I like the first cover probably better, and this actually does play a part in the actual story itself. And this does too, because it's about a podcast, a true crime podcast. And I'm just really excited to get into it and see what the next part of the story is. It's been a while since I've come to you from my car, partially because I haven't really gone and done anything, and the things that I've done, I haven't gone anywhere solo in a while. Yeah, that's the thing. I haven't gone anywhere solo in a while. It's been more than a month. Just because I've been dealing with a lot, and mental health has been affected, and all of that. And the weather is not that great today. It's overcast, it's gloomy, but I have some things I need to do. All right, friends, I am back from the stores. I got this. It's almost like it's inside out. Do you see? But I love it so much. Books, of course. I got 2 books and 3 graphic novels. So I picked up The Fields by Erin Young, which is a new crime fiction novel. I picked up Breathe by Joyce Carol Oates, which is going to absolutely rip my heart out and make me bawl my eyes out, but I'm ready. And then the 3 graphic novels that I got, the one that was recommended that I found was The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag. Oh my gosh, it's LGBT. And the artwork is gorgeous. And I also got Trespassers by 𝒂💏Bard, which is about two kids looking for another summer vacation at her family's, is looking forward to another summer vacation at her family's lake house. And then there's like this mystery of what happened to this couple that lives at that house. And then I also got Fake Blood by Whitney Gardner. This is her debut. Yeah. And I mean, this one's like thicker and bigger than like these, if you look at the size. So that's that. And then compared to this one, it's like that. So it's a little bit bigger and it's not thin, you know. But this is about this boy, I think it's a guy, AJ, that feels like everyone is changing but him. And then this one girl that he likes is really obsessed with vampires, and they get paired up to work on this group project on Transylvania. And he decides that dressing up like the vampire hunk of her dreams will be like what gets her attention. But soon enough, he's got more than Nia's attention than he bargained for when AJ learns that she's a slayer. Here with a reading update. I'm here, you guys. I'm definitely gonna finish this before the end of the month, and I might even finish the third book, depending if my audio hold comes through, which it's not looking good. It's not looking good. I have it on hold. I have several books on hold, but yeah, it says about 6 weeks, so we don't know about that, but I'm definitely going to finish this one, and then I might finish one other book this month. I'm really pushing myself, but I just want to give you some thoughts on this. It's really, really good. I like it. It seems longer than the first book. It's almost like 400 pages, but it's reading obviously very, very quickly. There's different characters in this one, but there's also like similar characters, because, you know, obviously Pip's in it, and then people that were important in the first one are obviously mentioned in this one, but there's a new mystery. So the people of that mystery are different, obviously, than the previous mystery. But we're also getting updates on the last thing as well. So that's pretty cool. And she has a true crime podcast in this one. She has a true crime podcast in this one though. And so it's always like she's trying to like set up the mic real quick. And I'm like, same girl, same. I just love podcast thrillers, mysteries, all of that. And they're especially produced so well. And it's a full cast. And they have the same narrators of the main characters from the previous book. So it's just, it's such a good series, you guys. I'm really, really enjoying it. So my battery is blinking, but I just wanted to say that I'm chugging along. I'm probably gonna finish it tonight, tomorrow, pretty soon. I'm doing laundry, so I'm taking a little break from reading right now. Put in some laundry. I have probably 3 loads to do, because I've been avoiding adulting like the plague. But I just got a package from Book Depository, and I have ordered some books, but I don't necessarily know what's in this one. So I thought we would just open it together and find out. I am so excited about this one. Okay, there we are. Okay, the book that I got is called Unnatural Causes, The Life of Many Deaths of Britain's Top Forensic Pathologist by Dr. Richard Shepherd. I am so excited about this. Top forensic pathologist Dr. Richard Shepherd has performed over 23,000 autopsies. A detective in his own right, he must solve the mystery of sudden or unexplained deaths. How did this person die? In the pursuit of truth, he has tackled serial killers, natural disasters, perfect murders, and freak accidents. His evidence has put killers behind bars, freed the innocent, and turned open and shut cases on their heads. Yet all of this has come at a huge personal cost. In Unnatural Causes, he tells us the story not only of the bodies and cases that have haunted him the most, but also how to live a life steeped in death. Guys, first cover crush. Love this. Here's the spine. Ooh. Friends, it's reading update time. I finished Good Girl, Bad Blood, and I think I actually liked this one more than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which was the first book. And I agree. Oh, and I stand by the fact that I think you should read these physically and listen to the audiobook. I will say that the first audiobook reading experience was a little bit better than this one, just because in the first book there was a lot of multimedia aspects, and in this one there wasn't as many, but there definitely were enough, you know what I'm saying. So this one has two of my favorite elements in a mystery thriller, and that is a podcast and a missing persons, and a podcast and a missing persons together. True crime podcast, anybody? That's exactly what is in here, and I absolutely loved it. So in this one, you know, Pip is searching for a missing persons. One of her friends actually goes up to her and says, hey, because of the events of the first book, do you mind helping me look for this person? And she says, no, it took too much out of me last time. I'm not okay. Things are not okay. And you're still kind of, the events of the first book are still kind of playing out a little bit in this book as well. So she initially disagrees. She's like, no, I can't do it. But what I will do is I will go to the police and make my case to them, since I might have a little bit of an in. So she goes to the Fairview Police Department, and they say, look, we understand, but the person that's missing is an adult, and they're not like a, what is it called? Like a extreme case, a high risk case. So they can't really spend like police funds or energy like looking for this person. So of course Pip is like, well crap, that means I have to do it. So she starts investigating, and things take off from there. Obviously, there's a little bit more maturity in Pip. I feel like I know the characters more now, obviously, and just the world in general, and kind of like the flow and the writing and all the things like that. But I also feel like the unbelievable factors that were in the first book were a little bit less in this one. I mean, there definitely were still things that I was just like, okay, that really happened, and there's no consequences, or, you know, things like that. So I rated this 4 out of 5 stars, but I did like the overall story, I guess, more than the first book. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for this one. And I highly recommend this series. I mean, it is a freaking solid YA mystery series. Next up, of course, is As Good as Dead. And I just read like what this one is about, and you definitely do, some trilogies you can read like in and out of order because they follow different things, but you definitely have to read these in order, because like I said, in the first book, and then this one kind of continues. Like the first book you can read as a standalone, you don't have to continue in the series, but I think you're going to want to, but I wouldn't read this one and then go back and read a Good Girl's Guide. So definitely read these in order. This one, of course, is following the events after the second book, and I'm just looking forward to getting into it. However, I'm not going to be able to get into it right away because my audiobook hold for my library, I'm on hold. And I don't know when that's going to come in. So when that hold comes in, that's when I will actually dive into this book. And I was just doing a flip through to see if there's like any multimedia or anything like that. Yes, there's like an interview. There's like an email or a letter. It doesn't seem to be. There's another one. Okay, so there's some. But yeah. Okay, so when my audiobook hold comes in, I will jump into this one. And so I'm just gonna like pick up a few other books and I will check back in when my audiobook hold comes in. Been a while. It's been 2 months since the previous footage, and that's because I have been waiting for the audiobook of As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. Not only have I listened to the previous 2 books with the audiobook and reading along physically, but they're really good audiobooks, so I definitely wanted to continue reading them in the same way. And this just so happens to be the chunkiest book. So I just got the audiobook in for this one. I'm gonna start this one tonight. This is the 3rd and final book of the trilogy. Pip is a little bit older. She's about to head to college, and she is still haunted by the way her last investigation ended. That's all I really want to say about that. I will update you with more thoughts as I actually continue the book. It will continue to be non-spoilery. I also had the privilege of reading Killjoy, the prequel novella to the entire series. This was kindly sent to me by someone that saw my videos where I was talking about reading the trilogy. They reached out to me. Thank you so much, Brenda. And she sent this to me as a little gift, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you. I went ahead and picked this up last night. It's around 120 pages, 123 pages, and it takes place before the events of the trilogy. That's why it's a prequel. It's quick, it's short, it's fun. If you're obsessed with the trilogy like I am, I say why not give it a go. Did I think it was necessary? No, not at all. It's Pip receiving a birthday invitation to a friend's birthday party, and it's a 1920s themed murder mystery party. So it's the end. It's like, I think it's like the summer of junior year, and then the events of the first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, is like her senior year. Or it's sometime in between like some type of exams and that capstone project. So I really did enjoy seeing what the characters were up to before, and this is just kind of like a slice of life in their life before the events of the trilogy. It's just over a 1920s murder mystery themed birthday party. There wasn't any, I didn't read this in audiobook, I just read it physically, and it did have like the little invitation, and it had like your character and other characters, and it had like little clues just like you would get at like a real like murder mystery party, and it just made me want to actually go and play in a murder mystery party. So I was reading this last night on my reading sprints, and I was like, please someone host a murder mystery party so I can come. I mean, it just seemed like a lot of fun, and you got to see some of the characters like, you know, outside of the trilogy before that happened, and it was really, really nice. So I liked this one. I gave it 3 stars, but I don't think it's necessary. It's just like a nice added bonus, and it also kind of explains, to me at least, why Pip is so intent on making sure that she solves the case in the first book. So that was kind of cool. And now let's move on to this one. And like I said, I will let you know my thoughts in the morning. Friends, I'm here with a reading update of a As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, the third book in the Good Girls Guide trilogy. I'm currently on page 122. I basically read this all yesterday. I did join some sprints on Ashley's channel from Ashley's little library, and I read a little bit, and I was reading a little bit before her sprints as well. It took me a while to figure out like what's the main case going to be, or what's the main objective of this story. It was kind of, I don't know, like Pip's dealing with a lot of anxiety and she feels like she's being threatened, and it's just kind of setting that all up, and like where is she now, what's been going on with the past cases and stuff like that. So that's what like the first 120 pages were, like kind of setting everything up, and I'm thinking the rest is going to be like, okay, now we're focusing on this new thing. So excited to continue. It just took a little bit to get into, and knowing that it's like 450 pages, it just already feels too long. You know, they didn't have to wrap up everything. I feel like they could have briefly touched on things. They didn't have to, it didn't have to feel so info dumpy in the beginning. I like to kind of know what the main plot of the actual story I is reading, not like catching me up on things. And maybe that's just like a series trilogy thing, but 120 pages to waste on setting everything up, and then 300 pages of the actual story. If they would have just cut out those 100 pages, I would have been okay with it. And if they would have just got right to work, you know? Yeah, gonna read more. I will update you with my thoughts. We come to the end of this vlog. I finished As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, and I am going to rate this final book in the trilogy plus prequel novella 4 out of 5 stars. And that means, not including Killjoy, all 3 of these I've rated 4 stars. So I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder last year, and I rated it 4.5 stars. That's back when I was doing half stars. And then when I reread it to continue in the other books, I rated it 4 stars. I moved on to Good Girl Bad Blood and rated it 4 stars. Then one of my subscribers, people that watch my videos, reached out through email, said that they had Killjoy, the prequel novella to the trilogy, offered to send it to me. Thank you so much, Brenda. That was so kind. I read this short little novella without the audiobook because I didn't even check if the audiobook was available, and plus like it's so short. But I read all of the other ones physically and with the audiobook. I rated this one 3 stars just because I guess maybe it was just so short, and I'm not sure quite what I was expecting. I mean, it basically takes place at a 1920s themed murder mystery birthday party, and then it's over. So it's like one scene, you know, of a greater like book. So yeah, so it was good. I enjoyed it. It's just, you know, 3 stars. And then, like I said, I just finished As Good as Dead. This is 450 pages. It's the longest one in the trilogy, and it did feel long. In the previous books, I did complain about the unbelievable factor of some of these things that Pip is doing. And yes, that is still present in the 3rd book. But knowing that it was in the previous 2 books, I kind of had to, I don't know, resolve that fact in my head and know that there's gonna be unbelievable things. I'm gonna have to overlook them. But it took it to like a new level that I was just like, I'm really supposed to believe this, but that's not why I rated it 4 stars instead of 5 stars. Like I said, I was gonna overlook that. So the reason that I'm rating this one 4 stars instead of 5 stars is, first, the length. It definitely could have been cut down 100 pages. Also, to go along with that, the first 120 pages was kind of a refresh of all of this. And part of the reason why I didn't need the refresh was because I had just read them, even though I read these in January, and now it's March and I'm finally getting to these two. Anyway, it just went into way too much detail. It kind of, even though it had only been a couple months, they were throwing out all of these characters' names. Same thing in this one. I felt like it was just, there were so many people there and I was like, who is this person again? Like, are they even alive in these other, like, I don't know, it's just kind of crazy, you know? But they just were throwing like so much at you, and it was just like, can we just, I don't think that Jackson did a good job of like the recap, if you will. It was just, it was way too long. It was way too overwhelming. It made the beginning seem very, very slow. And I wasn't excited to dive into the story. But once I got around the 120 page mark, which if you take those 120 pages out, it would have been like a 320 page book, which is what these were. And I think that was a much better length. It got to the real nitty gritty of what was going to happen in this story and with the characters and what the mystery was going to be, what Pip was up to. And then synopsis, it says Pip is about to head off to college, but she's still haunted by the way her last investigation ended. And it's like, she barely makes it to college in this one, because more of the story is leading up to her going to college. And I just thought it was really, really fascinating. I liked how things kind of came full circle, and it kind of wrapped up everything of like things that happened in these books. Like it all kind of came full circle. So you can definitely tell that Holly Jackson had a entire story, you know, in her head. It wasn't like she wrote the first book and then was like, okay, because of the success of the first book, I want to write another book. That sort of thing that you often see, or I have often seen in YA trilogies. And this one, it felt like a complete story. So I was happy about that. But for the slowness, the length of it, and yes, obviously the unbelievable factor as well was just kind of like, why? And then some of the choices that Pip made along the way that went along with the unbelievable factor towards the end, I was just kind of upset by them. Like, how could she, you know, ask that of people and stuff when she asked so much previously? I don't know. It's not making sense, because I'm definitely trying to keep this spoiler free, but suffice it to say, I rated each book in this trilogy 4 out of 5 stars. I would say that if you like mystery thrillers, connecting the dots, true crime, you, like I said many times, you have to suspend your disbelief. Also, another thing, I waited for the audiobook. That's why it took me so long. Like I said, I read the first 2 in January, and it's March now. It is, I don't even know what day it is, but I was waiting for the audiobook for this one because I previously, I think that, I don't know, maybe it's because I reread this one. This one seemed to have like the most multimedia in it. And then this one definitely did, as you can tell from the earbuds on the front. This is more like podcast focused. So it definitely had things in here like there's a map and there's telephone calls and there's this, you know, little layout. But in this one, it had significantly less multimedia. It definitely still had some, like here's like a little document. There are some podcasts. There's like 2 little, I think there's only 1 podcast, but then there's another one where it says like one was uploaded. There's an email. There's a couple pictures. There's this, but there's just so much less. in this one. And I realize it's probably because, like I said, that Holly Jackson had a complete story to tell, and she didn't want to, like, she needed to kind of tie everything together, and she really did. More multimedia. So that's another reason why I got like 4 stars instead of 5 stars. But overall, super solid series, trilogy, whatever you want to call it. Again, thank you to Brenda for sending me this. This was sent to me from my friend Danielle A. This second book was also sent to me by someone in my book club. I've already lost the little paper, so if you sent me this second book, thank you so much. And then this third and final book I just got for Christmas this year from Sarah. So thank you to members of my book club and my subscribers for providing me with this entire trilogy. It's definitely going to stick around on my shelves. It's one I'm going to look at and, you know, recommend and all of that. But yeah, that's all for this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed. I also just want to throw out a fun fact here at the end. When I was recording in January, I showed you guys there was snow on the ground. Today it was 85 degrees. So in just a couple of months, it feels like summer out there. So anyway, like I said, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye guys.